If you want to have a podcast but you're not sure, try to be a guest on podcasts. There's some Facebook groups inviting you to be guests on podcasts so you can get some practice. My biggest advice, get to the point, say your most important thing first, and be a gracious guest. And always do a call to action. Always tell them how they can find you.
And I'm loving that paradigm shift that's been taking place the last few years, where it's actually that connection is the thing, and we straighten each other's crowns and we stand up together.
Has your life, your dreams been interrupted? Good news. It is possible to reinvent our lives. People are doing it every day, and some are brave enough to share the struggles, disappointments, and challenges. If you are looking for a new beginning, a do-over, or to rediscover your passion, maybe even find a new one, then grab a cup of coffee and let's talk. Interrupted, Act 2, Reinventing Your Legacy, with your host, Coach Lori.
Audrey Muller, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here, and it's really fun when connections are made. So Katie Joy, you are her coach, her business coach, and she referred you for the show. So tell us about what you do and what you love about it.
I am a business coach and brand strategist, and my superpower within business is being able to take all of the possibility that you have and really make it a tangible, manifested thing and bring it to life. My genius is you just kind of channel your ideas to me and then I make it happen. It's so hard to be in business. I found whenever I'm like creating an idea, it's really hard to make it what you want inside your head. I hear this a lot from women, like, I just wish I could like make it what's in my head. I'm the one that does that. I hear you, I channel through, and I actually have a clear cognizance and clairvoyance where I actually see what you're saying as you're saying it to me. And then I'm just like, I need nothing else from you. I need to escape from this place so I can go and create that vision that just popped into my head. That's what I'm doing.
That's so amazing, because when I started in business by myself as a mom, there was no internet, and I don't think there was such thing as a business coach. I mean, I became a coach in 1999. It wasn't a business coach, it was a life coach, but there was just not the support. I think that's why so many businesses, startups do fail, because they think they've got to do it on their own. I love this collaborative spirit where it's like, hey, get a coach, get someone to work with you, walk with you, help put what you're saying, your vision, into some sort of reality. Because a lot of times people have a really great thing they do, but then when they have to do all the stuff that goes with it, they lose that.
Yeah, it's a lot to process starting a business. In fact, I think it's like, I want to say something like 70% of businesses online businesses close within the first 3 years. So if you made it past the 3-year mark, like, good job. Because you're doing something right. And it really is hard to try and figure out all of that stuff on your own, but more so figure it out in a way that works for you. That's really, I guess, my interrupted moment is I built the business exactly how I was told to build it, and it really sucked. And I did not like it at all. It was stressful and overwhelming and made me feel a lot of imposter syndrome because it wasn't authentic to my own way of doing things. And it really took me down a really deep, dark night of the soul. And I had to come back from a lot of conditioning through that. And it's a lot to process when you're by yourself. So having a coach or someone that can really pull that possibility out of you, your own light out of you, and make it into a business really is something that's spectacular.
So that brings about kind of this, it's kind of a rant I have. A lot of people call themselves a coach when they're an advisor. Coaching is, let's take what you have and bring it out. Advising is kind of what it sounds like you went through. And that's what would happen is I would read all the books. I'd listen to the tapes back in the day. And I felt like I did all the things, but it never worked for me like it worked for them. And I did. I always felt like I had failed.
When I started online, it was 20 years ago, and I started in the MLM space, which is a lot of hierarchy of people telling you exactly how you need to run your business. So then when I got into the space of running my actual own business, I started as a virtual assistant, and I thought there has to be someone that will like teach me this, which kind of led into this whole world of online education, of there being courses, because we wanted someone to teach us the way, right? Or at least I did. And I found this woman that was teaching how to be a virtual assistant. I purchased her course and went through it, and I got 7 clients in a week. I was like, oh my goodness, I made more in this 1 week than I have in my entire month at my sales manager job at an optical. I should probably focus on this because it's bringing in more income. I did that, and I followed all the rules inside this course, exactly how I was supposed to manage my clients. And I found myself chained to my desk from the moment that I woke up. Like, I literally would wake up in my pajamas and walk out to my desk and basically just sit down with my coffee and get to work. And I would not get up until my husband was like, Audrey, you need to eat dinner. I would get up, go eat, and then go immediately back to my desk until it was like time to go to bed, because that's how much work I had. I mean, I had 7 clients workloads of work to do. I just found myself really burnt out and inauthentically in that space. I started looking for an online business coach or a guy that would teach me how to set up some kind of something that would make this work. Ultimately, that led to an online W-2 position where I supported the back end of that business with integration services. So like systems, operations. And then I found myself in the same spot where I was giving every single thing that I could to this job, like blood, sweat, and tears. Like, I literally remember sitting in front of my computer, bawling my eyes out because WordPress wouldn't work correctly. I was like, it has to be easier. There has to be something better than this. Long story short, I ended up being told that I was let go from that position because they didn't have the funds to keep moving forward with me in that capacity because of different changes that they were making in their business. They were really upset that they had to let me go because I was really, really good at my job. But ultimately, giving my blood, sweat, and tears just didn't feel like enough. Like, I was just like, okay, well, I literally gave you everything I possibly could and it wasn't good enough, is kind of how it felt to my experience. And I crashed and there was a period of about 3 months or so where I basically got up to bring my child to school, and then I would come home and go back to sleep because I couldn't go anymore. Like, I literally gave everything and I ended up being told that it basically wasn't good enough. Then I found actual coaches and actual mentors like Katie and Kelly Brock, Anna Maria Velasquez, these beautiful, spacious containers where I was able to fully express my authentic expression and fully be in my embodiment. And I was surrounded by a vortex of women that seen, heard, and understood what I was going through and coached me to understand what it meant for me to create a business that felt good. From that place, I've done so much healing and so many different attempts at what works. And the first step was really finding my own self-awareness and just becoming more self-aware with what I was having and what I was creating, and just knowing like, okay, well, this doesn't feel good. Take note. This makes me feel better. Take note. I need a boundary here because this is really burning me out. Take note. And then I took all those notes and I started to implement these things. And with these beautiful women behind me, giving me this permission slip to let me know that that was okay, that I could create these boundaries, I could set these limits, I could build whatever felt good to me, and that would be 100% okay. And this was a big one for me. I could create money and income and abundance in my life without having to do something that I hated. Because growing up, I was raised by my grandparents. There was a lot of, you have to do the thing that you hate if you want to make money energy. That's the kind of energy that I thought my whole entire life. And these women gave me permission to believe that I didn't have to do the thing that I hated just to make money. I can make money other ways. I can provide for my family in ways that actually bring me joy. And it was through that I now deliver that same inspiration and same embodiment, that same empowerment to other women through all of these lessons that took me so long to learn. I deliver that with speed so that they can get through that faster. In fact, my last client, it was 2 calls and she was already like completely in a different space and creating a whole other offer. It's just incredible to see how fast it can happen when you know exactly the pain points and the things to get you there.
Audrey, I think you're telling a story that so many women can relate to. I kept saying, I'm doing all the things. I kept saying that, and I felt like nobody could hear me. Like most of my friends weren't entrepreneurs, so they didn't understand just all the little dynamics, right, in being self-employed. But also, I feel like so often there's like, here's this model, do this or die. And I love that you give this freedom. You said, I found my tribe, they supported me, and then you did, like my friend says, iterations. You tried this and then you changed it a little, you tweaked it a little, but they gave you the support and the freedom to do that. And I love that.
It was and is a very beautiful experience because I still work with them every single day. In fact, I was in both of their containers just before this interviews. It's amazing when you find the people that are really there to support you and allow you to be in your own light. And I feel so often in my own experience that I come across women that were combative in, like, if you were shining, then they couldn't shine. So then there was this like dramatic situation that would take place, or this like hatred, or like this just disconnect. But that's not how it should be. Society has a lot of that kind of vibe. And I'm loving that paradigm shift that's been taking place the last few years, where it's actually that connection is the thing. And we straighten each other's crowns and we stand up together. My favorite thing about working with Kelly Brock, she is my coach, is that she is a leader, but she also lets you shine your light at the same time. If you have something to say, she sits down and there is no felt animosity because you have something to say that maybe makes you shine as a leader. That's the kind of spaces that we need to be in as women. And I feel like that's what ultimately leads to that permission to do so.
So you were going through this hard time where you were, I've heard this story so many times. I get the kids to school, I go home and go to bed, like that place. What was the shift for you? How did you find what was next and know that this isn't just another thing, but this was actually something that you wanted to move into?
I think there is a space and time for just being in your own space. And sometimes you really just need to be in the pain of it all. But then how do we get out of it? For me, that very first step was just leaning into people that felt a little different than what I had experienced before. So like these women that I was finding, they weren't sharing about high achievement things or about monetary things. They were sharing about soul-led things, about really being your truest self. That conversation in and of itself felt so different to me that I had to lean in and look a little bit closer. I also had been learning about human design, and I've always been really, really big into astrology. And both of those things are tools that I use with my clients. When I learned about my human design and I really got to go through the different pieces of it, it allowed me to have a divine permission slip to be in my essence. It was no longer about apologizing for the way that I was. Admittedly, was probably a bit of a crutch at the beginning because I was like, well, I'm a 2-4, like this is just what I do. But also knowing that I'm a generator and knowing that I need to have a this or that question was like one of the very first things that I started to implement. So when I was like, do I want to do this or that? And then listening to like what felt good in an audible sound. So like when you say, do you want to have steak or chicken to me? I'm like, chicken. It doesn't really sound good. But when you say that, Audrey, do you want to have steak? I'm like, steak? Like you can hear the influx, you can hear the, oh, that sounds good in my voice. So I'm listening for that guttural sound when answering that question. And that was the first thing that really like started to help me get out of the rut, was just like asking this or that questions. Do I want to be, at the time I was being certified to be a life coach. Do I want to be a life coach or do I want to be a business coach? And then just sitting back and allowing myself to feel what each one of those felt like and which one made me feel like it had possibility and was expansive and which one made me feel contractive and like, that was really the place that started, was learning how do I respond through my human design. And then also just kind of leaning into different conversations than I'd previously heard.
And I think about, as especially moms, but when women find what they truly love, it's so much easier to enjoy life and not be feeling bad. I mean, so many times as a single mom, I felt like if I was home, I should be working. If I'm working, I should be home. And just finding that place of joy. Can you tell us what that was like when you finally realized, oh, this is it, I love it, and then you start experiencing it?
Yeah, one of the things that I went to a spiritual life coaching program. So there's part about purpose and spirituality and part about life coaching. And one of the practices that we learned is the difference between karma and kriya being the flow of life. So this is when like I sit down and I start designing something for a client, and then I look at the clock and it's like 4 hours later and I'm like, oh my goodness, where did the time go? That's when you're in your passion, that's when you're in your joy, is when the time just kind of seems to fly by. For me, that's what I found. When I am experiencing something that feels heavy, like I said, I just take note of it and I try to remove that from the experience. When I feel those times when the time is just like going as fast as it possibly can, and I look down, I'm like, oh my God, it's been 3 hours. Those are the moments when I'm like, okay, I need to add more of this into my life. I also found things that automatically bring me joy. Like I love singing and dancing. So if I need to be in a creative space where I don't need to talk to anyone and I don't need to read anything, I'm just like mostly designing things. It's more aesthetic, or more like laying things out. All the words are already ready and I just need to copy paste. That is when I'll literally throw on some headphones and I will literally sing as I'm like going through my computer and like doing things at the top of my lungs. And my family probably thinks I'm absolutely insane, but it makes me happy to have my own little concert at my desk. If I need to get up and move around, I will have dance breaks with my son. He loves the movie Home. So we will play songs from like the soundtrack of the movie Home and we'll just like dance around the house. Those moments just add pieces of joy back into the day where you can get really mundane. Also, we are digital nomads, so we travel around the entire world. Currently, we're in Colombia. Next, we're going to Croatia and then Venice, Italy. So we're constantly moving about, and that allows us to experience new things. I realize that this is a core foundation that I need in my life, is to be traveling. I always knew that I wanted to travel. And whenever we would think about our ideal lives, me and my husband, we would always say, we want to travel once a quarter. But why limit it to that when it brings you joy? So we sold our lake house. That was supposed to be our quote unquote retirement home in the Midwest where I'm from. You get a lake home, and then that is the ultimate goal. And we got a lake home. We remodeled the whole thing. We had 2 amazing jobs. We had 2 new-ish to newer vehicles, and our kid was in one of the best schools that was in the state. And we were like, well, you know what? We're just gonna not do this. Like the American, quote unquote, American dream is really just not for us. We want something else. So we sold our house. We sold all of our belongings. We traded in our vehicles for a single vehicle, and we found a really good homeschooling program, and we literally hit the road because we knew that that would bring us joy. So I think it's also, for us at least, getting away from the conformity of what we're told is supposed to bring us joy and really listening to what actually makes you happy, knowing that that is okay to stand in. It is 100% valid that you want to do those things.
I just find that so amazing. You obviously are younger than I am, for you to realize that, because I feel like sometimes there's like this generation of women about my age. We live by so many shoulds that we don't even know we did. Like, you got to own a home, you got to all these things. And yet you're saying, you know what, that's all nice and good, but not for us. Like, you're not rebelling against the system. Here you have these jobs where you can travel and you're living your best life in your early years instead of waiting until you're old. Because what do we always hear? People retire, and then before they get to do all the things they love, they don't make it, unfortunately. That is so incredible. If somebody wants to work with you, what's the best way to reach out?
The best way to reach out is probably via email. That is Audrey at heyaudreymuller.com, AUDREY at AUDREYMULLER.com. Also, my website, which is also heyaudreymuller.com. There's a contact page on there that you can message me on, or Instagram also at heyaudreymuller.com.
I'd like to talk about what's your perfect client, like who would really benefit from your coaching?
Yeah. My perfect client is a woman who is already taking action to stand in her power to make a huge impact on changing the world, and just wants to expedite that journey so that she can begin to make that change.
You said this twice, and I love it, because expedite, and especially when I'm looking at older women, we do want to do it quicker. And even in the podcast class that I teach, the first iteration of it was 6 weeks, so we could work. And now it's like 7 days. Why? Because people want to get things done. They want to do them in a hurry. And I love that fast track idea, because it's not so much about, oh, don't make the same mistakes as me. It's about, let's do this quicker. Let's do it faster. Let's get your message, your business. Let's get it to the world. I love that.
Yeah. There's no reason why your possibilities have to wait for another day.
I love that.
There is no reason why your possibilities have to wait for another day.
Okay, Audrey, this has been so amazing. Before we go, what is it? I feel like you've said so many amazing things already, but what is it you really want us to know?
That everything that you imagine is possible is. You just have to start with one small step, and that one small step will snowball into an impact, into the possibility that you once only dreamed possible.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you love this podcast, here's a big ask. Will you share with your friends and family, subscribe, give us a review, and a 5-star rating so that others looking to reinvent their lives will be able to get the help they're looking for? Thank you in advance.